Hey everybody, we're back. It's me, Bonnie, your host of the Grieving Girl podcast. And today, for the first episode back in a year, is my sister, Christie McNamara. Woo! Guys, it's been a full year. It's been a full year since I've done this. And I think that says a lot. I think that there was a lot going on in the last year. Um, and not only was I busy, but also I was just, really in the functional freeze, I feel this year, especially surrounding, chatter about the grief. I was making a lot of like grief content and videos where like you don't really have to talk a lot, but it's just been a minute since the podcast, without saying too much, there were eyes on the podcast that was kind of freaking me out. And I need it to be, done with eyes on the podcast. So now that the eyes are off of my podcast, we're back. So my sister did not know that she was the first episode back in a year, but she's here. I just started our call with, I really don't know what to talk about. And I think that that says a lot. Um, but I just have been having a hard time naming my grief. Usually I can be like, I'm in this area, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and I don't know what I'm feeling. And I think that that's interesting in what's coming up of year 5 of losing our mom, year 22 of losing our dad, which is like, different. It's just different. Um, so my sister just said that her biggest griefy thing right now is the milestones, and I think that that is totally valid because I'm not a mom with a million kids, and I even feel it surrounding your kids. So what does it mean? Like, what would you describe that as to someone who maybe doesn't have kids, or is like, what's a milestone grief looking like?
I guess for me it just means like our family is changing, not in a bad way, but things that we always thought were so far off in the future are here now, and
Yeah,
it's wild. And there's the added part on top of it of not having their grandparents here to celebrate their milestones with them, or to be able to see them moving towards these next stages of their lives, which
yeah,
have just like come so fast, obviously. um yeah, so just kind of grieving the kid that was.
yeah,
I saw a TikTok or something, and it was like, it just like smacks you in the face that like that 4-year-old version of your child left and didn't say goodbye. Like,
Aw.
like they just it all changes so fast, and sometimes you just have to take a minute to be like, holy crap, like how did we get here?
Truly, you have a full blown man with 2 tattoos living in your home, disguised as a 12th grader who was once so little he just wanted to ride Thomas the train and talk about Frosty the Snowman. So,
Yeah.
and if he's listening to the podcast, which I doubt that he is, yes, yes, you.
Yeah.
Um, no, that's so real. And like I don't have kids, so like I don't look at kids the same way, but it's true. It's like time is moving. And I think when you're a griever, you just like clock it more. I don't know. I feel like when you've realized, I don't know if that's out of sudden and traumatic loss or if that's all grief. Did you feel that? Like, do you feel that way with like, oh, dad's missing it? Or do you feel that more as mom?
I definitely feel like that. I feel that loss with dad, and maybe it's specifically because I have sports playing boys,
Sure.
where I'm like, man, he would love this, you
Sure.
know, that kind of thing. Um, and obviously, mom met them, dad didn't. So
Yeah.
sometimes I wonder if they're grieving that, like, all right, I'm graduating this year, and like
Hmm.
somebody's missing.
Hmm.
celebration, whereas like I grieve more for what dad lost
Yeah.
by not getting to
Interesting.
see them
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Where it's
That's fair.
probably the opposite with mom.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's not that I don't include dad in my grief. It's just like, I don't know.
It's just been
I
longer.
just, I guess. I don't know. It's very interesting.
You were
I'm like,
little.
I think it's
Like,
like, I'll not be crying already. Episode one back, and I'm crying. But it's like, it's true. I'm like, I don't really remember him, so I don't really incorporate him. Like, he
yeah,
wasn't at my graduation. So it's
yeah.
like, I don't even think about like, oh right, like he would be at the graduation because he wasn't at mine. He was, you know what I mean? So it's just like very interesting where, I grieve that, but it's just so different for me
Yeah.
with like him included. Which maybe that's messed up, but that's my brain. And like my brain
What?
has compartmentalized
I
in
think
so many
about that.
ways.
I think about that a lot. Like when I think, sometimes I'll think to myself, like, holy crap, I'm approaching the age that my mom was when she had to start doing it all by herself. And like,
Yes.
now as an adult and a mother, I think about how absolutely scary that must have been for her.
Yes.
And you don't grasp that at the time when you're just a teenager. Um,
No.
and I think to myself, like, my Jake is around the age that you were when you lost dad. And I sometimes I think to myself, you know, what would he remember? Like, if at this point he lost a
Yes.
parent, like
And what is great.
right, we think
Yes.
we've done so much life with them, but really, in the grand scheme of their whole lives,
Right.
we haven't.
Right. No, it
So,
is crazy. I mean, I teach kids that same age, and like somebody be like, I just turned 14. And I'm like, wow.
yeah,
Like, you seem like there's no reason you wouldn't remember, right? Like, how could you forget, right? Like, they just seem like they're that much of a teenager, but I'm like, those little brains, they are still just kid brains. Or is it just my trauma where I'm like, no, I've just blacked it out because I don't know. I'm like, what does everybody else remember from when they were 14?
no, I think the trauma is definitely part of it too. It's
I mean,
that,
my friends from high school are like, don't you remember when we did this? And I literally am just like, no. I remember like doing the musical, right? Like right after. And then like there is no memory until maybe when we moved into that house in Barkley. I remember the day we moved in because it was like everybody else was going to prom. And then snippets of senior year, but I'm like, there are no memories from sophomore year, junior year at all, which is nuts.
yeah,
Crazy. Um, yeah, I it's all very interesting. The milestone grief. I don't really it's funny. It's like I think about it for you. I kind of forget that the kids, it's like, right, you don't have like everybody else says, like, oh, my grandparents, they're probably like, well, I have my Mimi and my pop, but like,
yeah.
yeah, I have two.
The crowd is definitely smaller for them,
Yeah,
which, will hurt your heart as a parent.
yeah,
I hope they don't feel that because they certainly have plenty of other people in their
sure.
corner.
Yeah,
But yeah, for me, it's hard. And then I see my husband's parents with my kids, and
yeah,
I get jealous for sure of, why didn't I get that? Why don't I get to have this part of my life with them? Sucks. Because,
yeah.
and it's a lot of like parenting teenagers is hard. Like, and everyone will tell you it's hard, and then you have no idea how hard it is to get in it. And I
Yeah,
had mom to help me through the toddler years when I would call her in a panic and say, what do I do? And
yeah,
now I don't have anybody to call to be like, what do I do? Or was I like this? Or
right,
did I ever go through a situation like this? And how did we handle it? So I
right,
feel like I kind of grieve that like advice.
sure.
Um, and I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here.
Yeah. Well, You did have a very angsty high school experience, so I just feel like, I'm sure you have more hands-on than you in your innate being of like, how did I get through that situation? Like I remember XYZ, but I'm sure it's not the same when you're like, no, I literally need my mom to be like, yeah, don't you remember that this happened and that happened and then, she did this and then you guys got over it or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's rough. I'm sure there. I wonder if this is like, obviously our parents both died way before they were supposed to, but like moms are getting younger in 2026, right? Like most moms now, what are we like the new teen pregnancy is having kids in your 40s? It's like what the new thing is of like there's less teen pregnancy now and more like quotes geriatric than ever. Um and I just wonder if this is for us it's not the norm because of the way it happened, obviously. But as moms get older and like if I have a child at 41, by the time my kid would be in high school, like the odds of my mom not being in her 80s is lower. And like, people do live into their 80s and 90s, but people are going to pass before that. And I just wonder if this is also going to be an experience that I need a tissue. A lot of people do have, um, just because of life cycle. But, like older parents have older they have older parents and getting through even like a college graduation with both parents, I wonder like what the statistics would be, you know,
Yeah.
having to navigate that.
I mean, I certainly look at so with my first born, obviously, I was on the way younger side. I
Sure.
consider that a teenage pregnancy at this point in my life.
Yes, I feel like you are absolutely like the 5% of people in 2026.
Yes, I was only 24 when, he was conceived and then 25 when he was born. So
Yeah, you're a
it's like,
baby.
yes, frontal lobe was still not fully developed.
Which is funny because I'm
Um,
like, you were fully graduated college, had a degree, like you
it doesn't
weren't.
mean anything. And
But
I
when
tell
you
my
look
kids
at
that.
everyone having kids at their 40s, you're like, I was 25.
I always tell my kids, I'm like, you don't even know who you are until you're 30.
Oh my God, no way.
I fully, I think that you're still growing as a person for sure
Yes,
in your 20s. Um,
absolutely.
but so with him, like we're coming up into this, like he's going into his senior year, and I look at some of the parents who are considerably older than me, like maybe this is their last child and he's my first child, so and they still have their parents.
Yeah,
And that like makes me so insanely jealous, and it shouldn't. It should make me happy for them that they have their village. But
right,
I like, how are you, like I'm 42, you're 55,
right,
and you still have your mom and dad here
right,
at the football game, at the graduation.
right.
It's just
Well, and just because you have that pang of jealousy does not mean you're like, you know, you shouldn't.
no,
It
not
doesn't,
that they
yeah.
shouldn't, just
I'm
like,
like,
hey, it's
yeah,
not which
it's,
sounds
yeah. I'm like, it is what you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make you the villain because you're jealous. I'm like, that's totally normal. And I think anybody would be. I mean, that's like even just hearing my friends talk about their moms. Oh, we did this, we did that. I'm like, oh, it's so nice for you. But, that's why there's like a fun grief online community of like people being like, oh, yeah, cool. And those who
yeah,
get it, get it. And it's the unfortunate club you never want to be in, as Christina Yang would say.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that's shitty.
yeah.
Tis shitty. Um, Well, so now that I have you here, I won't bring you back. I won't bring you back and torture you in July because we'll be busy at the beach. Um, how are you feeling with the 5 year coming up?
Um, I don't know if I feel any which way yet.
Sure.
Yet. Um,
Yes.
and maybe it's because I'm like in the end of year. like tizzy of I don't have, whatever, but without saying more than I'm allowed to say, we're putting a closing, you
Right.
know, page on part of this, and that part has definitely been tougher to deal with, I think, than maybe the 5 year. Like maybe my mind, because they're coinciding, is not like getting the time frame, but just, putting this end on this part and, uh trying to reconcile the fact that that's over and doesn't feel like it was enough.
Sure.
Maybe like somebody's life came down to paperwork,
Hmm.
and that is that makes me mad. And I don't know if there's anything that will ever make that better.
Right.
I feel like I'm rambling because I can't, like, I'm circling what I really want to
You're
say, but
not. You're not
um
rambling. Those who get it.
like trying to like put closure to that, but also feeling like it wasn't enough. But I
Yeah.
have to move on either way.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's more of what I'm at the moment trying to sift through.
Yeah, I think that that's like a very fair way to put it, of just like what is crazy is for most death, it's like 5 years later, it's like you've gotten to freely move through whatever emotions you feel. With our circumstance, it's there was like a prolonged thing for so long, almost where it felt like it always feels like it was yesterday, but like we were literally still living in like the funeral planning phase. I felt like I was doing that for years,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Like that 4 day phase just like was every day. And eventually you realize it's literally not going to be that, so you have to figure out how to like put a foot in front of the other and hope that the paperwork is signed, sealed, and done. um but I agree that now there's this like, okay, and that's it. uh, okay, I don't know, I did feel a like weight lifted off of my shoulders though, in certain ways where I'm like, I have not felt like that in 4 years. And
Definitely.
I don't know if you've like felt that shift,
I
where maybe
have.
even just the heaviness, maybe it's that funeral planning phase that I'm talking about that was like on my shoulders, at least got like lifted.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like it's lifted because you're not every day like hoping the other shoe doesn't drop. Like
Hmm.
you would be going about your life and then all of a sudden it's like we need to do this,
Right.
or here's a really heavy email
Right.
surprise, and that would spiral.
The email surprise. Can't wait. Love you, Bethany, if you're listening. I know that you listen now. If you are listening, can't wait to never see your email in my inbox unless it's like a Christmas, like Christmas wide email. Like I don't ever want to see it. The email surprise. It really
Yeah,
is. That's so true, and it will ruin your day.
right. So like
It.
that part of it being over is like, all
Yeah.
right, this is done. It's
Right.
There's no anticipation of like what's next
Right.
anymore. And that being said, it's like, do I feel like she'll ever truly have justice for what happened?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
So, and that could have been the case whether everything wrapped up neatly with a red bow on top, or you know went to hell in a handbasket. Would I have ever felt like what happened was fully dealt with? No, probably not.
Yeah. When I think it's even interesting that it's like, okay, so the 5 years coming up, and both of us are like, we're so glad that that part is over, and it's like, but there was a life, and like, how do we feel about that? Like, you know what I mean? It's like that's the first thing that comes to mind of like the paperwork is like the first thing that comes to mind for like the 5 years is coming up because it took that fucking long of paperwork, and like that is what has overshadowed the entire thing,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah, so
that's
it's
interesting.
almost like you have to start this whole other phase of like, okay,
Right.
so now that's over, and how are we gonna move forward like in a meaningful way that
Right.
would make her feel like everything was not for a reason, but like just, that we're moving forward in a way that she'd be proud of, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Which I think we've done the best we can.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice to like not have that on the plate, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and you dealt with far more than I did as far as the brunt of the paperwork and the executorship, and I don't think
Yeah.
people realize how much is when a lot of people who lose a parent still have another parent that
Right.
take care of that adult stuff.
Right.
And when you don't have another parent to take care of that stuff, if it goes on to your children. So, you know, as much things as you can take care of in your life,
Do it.
for your kids. Um, but you took on a lot more of that, you know,
Yeah.
than I did. And so that must feel really different for you to be able to be
Yes.
like, now I don't have to.
My God, the hours spent. I should have clocked the timer. If I could go back in time, I would start a timer every time I did a task
Yeah.
and clock it and see how many hours of my life in the last 5 years have been spent doing bullshit.
Yeah.
like, even just like paying off the credit cards and doing this. It was an easy enough task. But even that day that we sat there and had to cancel all this stuff, that was a full day. And
Yeah.
like that was just like the regular normal death stuff. Like that you have to do that for anybody who dies.
Yeah.
But it was like the other stuff that comes with it. And like a lot of times, like you're saying, like there's two parents, it kind of like if you're on the credit cards together, it doesn't really affect anything because there's still somebody there. It's like a cleaner, like okay, we just take this person off the account. It's like, okay, now there's nobody on this account. Now who's going to pay us our money? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? And it is crazy. And
Yeah.
then all the added things with our situation. Yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to just never have to do it again.
Yeah.
And like you said, move forward in like a meaningful way, which I think we've done the best we can. But I think now that there's that like burden also that like what if email surprise, shoot a drop energy off of us. Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then
No.
we can take weekends to do things like go see Stranger Things. She would love that.
Right.
She would
Exactly.
love that.
And you think it makes you think about how, you know, mom was starting to think about retirement and, just saving, 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 saving.
Yep.
And you have to do that as a responsible person in the world. But at the
Right.
same time, sometimes I think about like what would she say to me?
Right.
And I think she would say, live your damn life because it
Literally.
it's not coming back to you. So,
That's it's so true. That's why like this trip to Ireland, I'm like, she wanted to go to England so bad, never got there.
yep,
So like I have to go. But now it's like, okay, well, you also do have like the world keeps moving and you have work and you have responsibilities and you have XYZ. You can't just like up and leave for 3 months. But I'm like, also, can I? Can I? I can't. Are you sure?
right.
You know?
Where there's
Um,
a will, there's a way.
right. Right. Truly. Um, but it's true. It's like you cannot take it with you. And in 2026, who does have the money except for like, the 1%? Who does have the money to do anything? Like live your life, figure it out,
Yeah,
rebudget.
yeah.
They'll get their money at the end of your life, they'll get your money or they won't. And that's it.
You
If there's
just
one thing I did learn, if it's not there, it's not there. It's not my
yeah,
responsibility. So that's it.
no,
All right. Very good. Well, first episode back. I'm going to try and do them bi weekly, no seasons. And we're going to see how it goes. So this is the pilot episode of no season title. So what are we going to title this episode?
I don't know. I feel like we covered a lot.
We
We
covered some
started with
ground.
we started with one idea and it kind of just
Yeah.
it
But
went.
they're all relevant. It's the summer, it's the milestones, it's the end of the school year, it's the graduations, it's the firsts of all the lasts, and
Yep.
that's big. That's motherhood grief, that's grieving your mom not being there to see it. 5 years is coming up, the summertime. We could call it covering some ground.
That would be a good one.
We covered some ground here. Lots of things.
Yes.
Um, and I thank you for joining me in this therapy session that I didn't think I was going to cry, and clearly I did, as
I li-
usual.
I was literally making lunches this morning and I was like, okay, what do I have to do today? And I was like, oh, my forced therapy today.
Forced therapy. And sometimes it's good because, we talk about it, but we don't always talk about it. So it's good forced sister therapy
Yep.
for sure. And yeah. Well, sister, thanks for joining the Grieving Girl podcast. You're always one of the most requested guests. You are. People always like when you come on because you have a different life perspective than me.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's it, you guys. If you're watching this on a screen and you can see my nose running, no, you can't. All right. Bye, everybody.